Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Heather Frierson, and I'm your host of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have Todd Coerver, CEO of Easy Tiger. And we are going to be talking about his journey to how he became CEO, what it's like to run a business like Easy Tiger, and really just share a sneak peek of what it's like for executive leaders like Todd. So if this is your first time today on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when a new show drops just like this one. Well, Todd, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Heather. It's great to be here.
Well, I would love for us to start by you just giving us a background about who you are and how you became the CEO.
Sure, I'll just give a quick run through the history, the consolidated
Yeah.
version. So I came up through the marketing and advertising brand side of the business. So I started off in the ad agency world up in Dallas, where I grew up, and then promptly had an opportunity at a young age to jump over to the client side with Whataburger. And that was really where I say I kind of grew up in the business, because I started when I was 25 there, spent 15 years at Whataburger, climbing the ranks of the marketing department. I spent the last 8 as their CMO. And what was great about that experience and how it unknowingly prepared me to become a CEO ultimately was the company was amazing at letting me kind of bounce around, work in different departments, and not pigeonhole me as just a marketer. So I got to work in operations, training. I created a communications department for them as we were getting very large. I had several hundred locations. We were starting to go out of Texas, multiple states. So keeping everybody internally on the same page was, quickly became mission critical. So I created a corporate communications department to be that glue that holds everyone together and keeps everybody on the same page, as we had 10, 20, 1,000 employees at that time. So I got I sort of got my master's degree at Whataburger, I say. That's where I really got to round out my business acumen from
Not many people can say that.
yeah, I mean, that's pretty unique. So,
Yes, it is.
so that was where I really got to round out my business acumen and kind of not just be sort of
Mhm.
siloed in the marketing world. So, but I've always had a love and a passion for the branding and marketing side. I love understanding the consumer. I've done tons of consumer insight studies over my career. To me, that should be what drives the business first and foremost. So those skills always come in handy, even as a COO, CEO. So after Whataburger, I moved on, was in San Antonio and got the opportunity to be COO of Taco Cabana, 170 locations around Texas at that time. And so that was my first foray into more general management. And that was where I really got to kind of dip my toe in the water and see what that was like. And so got to push that brand forward as the COO, because I really, even though it's called a COO, I ran the Taco Cabana office, and then I reported into a CEO at a parent company that owned us.
Mhm.
So I was sort of a COO acting like a CEO of our brand. So that was, and again, unknowingly, the door opens, you step through it, right? That became
Mhm.
just a great next logical step for me, in sort of a lower pressure environment, because I had the CEO above me at the parent level, learned a ton from him along
Mhm.
the way. While I sort of got to run that brand a little bit with training wheels on. So it was great. It was a great environment to continue my education as a future CEO. And then after that, I got the call to go up to Colorado for a few years and be CEO for a gourmet burger chain up there called Lark Burger. Had about 14 locations around the state of Colorado, from Vail all the way down into Denver and into Boulder. So that was a really great experience. Again, working with an investor-owned small chain
Mhm.
like that. That was my first small chain experience.
Mhm.
I kind of fell in love with it. I just loved how agile those brands can be. Decision making's much
Yeah.
easier. You're not having to get a million people's approvals at a
Mm.
larger company where there's a lot more bureaucracy, and a lot of it's needed bureaucracy. I'm not knocking it. It's just sort of, what are we all drawn to, right? And where do we all sort of
Mm.
shine and feel happiest? And to me, at that moment, I was like, oh, I'm meant for smaller brands. I love working with
Wow.
founders. I love just the upside opportunity of a small brand. And again, we're just so agile and can make quick decisions, when, thoughtful, but quick, decisions that are
Mhm.
right for the business and right for the brand and right for our customer. So that was really enjoyable. And then I got a chance to, an invitation to come back to Texas, to Austin specifically, for the P. Terry's Burger Stand CEO role. And that was interesting working with a founder again, Patrick Terry,
Wow.
great guy. And he was sort of at that crossroads where he'd built his business up to 15 locations around Austin. And then it was like, where do I go from here? What does infrastructure look like as we scale? How do we go outside of Austin? He's a true entrepreneur. So these were all questions, he needed help with. And so I
Mhm.
was his first CEO hire to help him figure all that out and put a master plan
Wow.
together. So we developed a 7-year plan that took us out of Austin. And in the 4 years I was there, we doubled the size from 15 to 31 locations. We had 4 down in San Antonio and a bunch up and down the I-35 corridor. And they just opened their first in Houston, I believe, last week. So that was a very rewarding experience for me to come in and help him architect the infrastructure to
Mhm.
prepare it for scaling, and then put the growth process in place, how everyone works together to go down that path of identifying a site, getting it all pulled together, building that building, and getting the staffing and opening it for business, and all the hundreds of steps that takes to go through that process.
Mhm.
And just getting that dialed in to where we could do that on autopilot. And it was just rinse and repeat, right? Just stick to the
Wow.
plan that we perfected together, and we should have the same result, right? So that's really what allowed us to put the thing into growth mode. And I think I'm most proud of the fact that we started that journey right in the heart of COVID. Um,
Mhm.
and so I got there in 2019. It took us a year to really lay down that foundation for what I was there to do, and get the right people in place, procedures, infrastructure. And then we had this big plan of we're going to open 7 locations in 2020. And the company had never opened more than 1 location in a given year. And so it's like, and then COVID hit obviously in March of that year. And we were like,
Mhm.
what do we do? And I
Mhm.
looked at Patrick and I just said, I believe we should just knuckle down and power through this and stick to our plans.
Mm.
And he said, you know what? I wholly agree. We were on the same page. And so it ended up being the best decision we ever made. Our business actually did well during COVID. We were kind of unknowingly set up for it with our double drive-throughs. We already had
Mm.
online ordering. We had all those things in place that you needed to power through that pandemic.
Mhm.
And so we just leaned hard into that and stayed committed and got those 7 locations open. And that was a big deal back then because a lot of restaurants in Austin
Mhm.
were closing, whether
Yes.
temporarily or permanently, especially a lot of independents. And it was super sad to see.
Mhm.
We were fortunate, not only we were opening up restaurants, we didn't have to lay off one person. And that opening of restaurants during that time, really our charge became, holy cow, we can be that place that people can find a job that are getting laid off from other.
Wow.
And that's how we viewed it.
Yes.
We're like, every time we opened a restaurant, we knew we were hiring 55 people to run these shifts.
Wow. What a
And
great perspective.
and so that's what became our charge and our like
Yeah.
passion point around this. Like, we have to do this for our industry. And
Mm.
so that was really powerful, and it kind of got everyone juiced up a little more than normal to make it
Yeah.
happen,
Yeah.
because it was not easy opening those restaurants during
Mm-mm.
that time when
Sure.
the rules were changing daily, right, of how we operate.
Yes.
So anyway, so that was like the beginnings of the growth, and we extended that through the following few years and got to do some really great things at P. Terry's that I'm very proud of. And then just in the last few months, about 6 months ago, took the role with Easy Tiger, another great iconic Austin brand, that was very exciting for me. Because as you've just heard from my resume, I have primarily been a fast food guy, with a little bit of fast casual. And now I've stepped into this insane concept that's
Mm.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner, full service, full bar, entertainment venues, and a full artisan commercial bakery. And so many dynamics in this compared to a more one-dimensional
Mhm.
fast food concept. And to me, that was exciting and terrifying, and that's exactly what I was
Mhm.
looking for. My boss back at Whataburger back in the day gave me the best advice I've ever received, and I've passed it on to others. Don't ever take a job that doesn't scare the hell out of you.
Mm.
Because if you do, you'll be bored in 6 months. So if you step into the void that is uncomfortable, and that's how you continue to be a student of business, that's how you learn new
Mhm.
things, you stay excited, you stay engaged. A little bit of fear goes a long way, right, to drive us all.
Yes.
And so as long as it's a healthy fear.
Mhm.
So that's exactly why I took the position. I mean, I was entertaining a lot of other concepts over the previous months as I was trying to figure out what my next chapter would look like. And I just, I loved the reputation and brand of Easy Tiger. It had so much going
Yes.
for it already. Like I said, it was an Austin staple.
Hmm.
And I felt like I could help them get to the next level with that brand while I learned a ton along the way. Like I've learned more about
Yeah.
a bakery than I've learned in my entire life and how they operate and what it takes. And I think the ultimate learning lesson for me is that
Mm,
I've learned that CEOs are not the boss, they're the facilitator of the business. Our job is to facilitate and move everybody forward together. Once we set that clear vision and goal of and the path to get there, and paint that clear picture for everyone. Now I feel like it's my job to facilitate everyone else's success. I don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. I don't have
mm,
to know how to run a bakery. I know how to run a business, and I know what it takes
mm,
to get obstacles out of the way and allow people to walk into this thing every day feeling happy and proud that they're there working for us.
mm,
And so that's what I'm guided by every day. And I feel like if I keep that lens and perspective, I can really learn and operate any business.
hmm.
So that's
That's
short
so
story.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that story. First, I want to say throughout your career and resume, I'm sure you've never gone hungry.
Never. It's always the
Never.
opposite. How do you say no?
No, I know. You never wonder what's for dinner. You always have an option.
Yep.
And
Yep.
as a Texan for the past 30 plus years, you've hit a lot of my favorite stores
I
from
love
Whataburger to
it.
P. Terry's to
Yep.
now, we talked before the show how I have right now in my house a loaf of Easy Tiger sourdough bread that is a
Love it.
staple for us. And so a lot of our listeners are from Austin and are familiar with it. And so I think that's so great. But what for you as a CEO, you talk about how you kind of fell into this 25 years ago or at the age of
Yeah.
25
Yeah.
and food industry. But what about leading? And you know how to run a business. What drives you more than anything, especially in this season? Because it's not just to have a job, there's something that drives you. What is that?
It's funny. My kids, I've grown kids now. They're all in their 20s, and my youngest is going to graduate from college in May. And
Oh,
and we've had this conversation before because as they were entering the business world, they looked at me and they're like, how do you get excited about making burgers every day or making bread every day or making tacos every day? I said, you can't look at it that way, and I don't look
yeah.
at it that way. The way I look at every company I walk into now is, to me, I'm very, especially later in my career, I've become very employee focused and driven. I
Mm,
started my career because I was trained in the marketing discipline to be very customer focused and driven. And
mm,
now I've just learned that over time, my God, it's all about our people that are making this thing tick every day, right? And so
hmm.
I'm huge about culture and building this thing from the inside out. Because if we
Mm,
build a great inside to this company, it will emanate out to our guests and the experience they will
yeah.
enjoy. It'll kind of take care of itself, right? So that's what I told my kids. I said, the way I get, juiced up about this every day is I think of it as I have X number of employees who them and their families are counting on me for a paycheck every day,
Mm,
which means they're counting on me to make sound decisions that keep this thing
yeah.
moving and growing and giving them additional opportunities to move up, build a career. Like that's what drives me. I'm like, holy cow, all
Mm,
these people's livelihoods are riding on me to be a sound CEO on behalf of them. And that's how I view it. And along the way, every brand I've been at, either through work others did before me or the work I did when I got there, it's always had a very large community give back component.
hmm.
And so it's like, hey, if we can also make the world a little better along the way, that's another piece that makes this a deeper cause that you're working for. You're not just
Hmm.
showing up to try to drive sales. It's about much more than that.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And if you, like you said, if you make your employees happy, they'll make the customers happy.
Yeah, totally. And I love um, how democratic the restaurant industry is. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying it as a political statement. I'm saying it is the great equalizer. Anybody
Mm,
can come into the restaurant industry, whether you have a third grade education or a master's degree, and you can make a career. And I love that.
hmm.
There's very few industries that can offer that. Like we will
Yes.
train you, develop you, as long as you come in, show some hustle, be accountable, and be willing to learn and show up every day. you can
Hmm.
go as far as you want. I mean, that's what I love about the industry.
Yeah, I think that's very true. It just years ago, I worked my way through college waiting tables
Yeah,
and learned so much about customer service and how to treat people. Um, that might be a little bit of a lost art these days, but it's so important in every area of your life. And so you're teaching that by
absolutely.
valuing your employees. I think it's so good. So, I mean, there's so many questions, so many ways we can dig into it, but I kind of want to back up a little bit to when we were not recording for the show.
Yeah.
And just your relationship with the founder, because I think so often you even said as a CEO, you're a facilitator, not a boss. And you spoke about how you have this great relationship with the founder who's still there.
Yep.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so David Norman is our founder and head dough puncher at the bakery. He is the man in charge of making the magic happen over at the bakery, which is the heart and soul of our brand, quite frankly, and
Mhm.
everything
Yeah.
kind of goes out from there. So early on, David is an artist. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. I mean, he's an artist in that bakery. What he does in terms of creating pastries, creating breads, it's amazing. And everything we do in that bakery is done by hand. There's no automation. I mean, it is incredible the work that those folks pound out and under sort of David's vision and tutelage. And so, David's classically trained, baker in the European practices of pastries and bread making. And he's amazing. And it's such an interesting and unique dynamic for me to step into because an investment firm really bought the majority of Easy Tiger out several years ago. David, still has a position in the company, and then he also obviously runs our bakery as his everyday job. And so, as the CEO, it's interesting for me to have a founder reporting to me technically on paper. That has never happened before. But I knew, I talked with David, had coffee with him before I even took the job, just because I wanted to make sure that dynamic was going to be a good one. And he's such a
Mhm.
genteel, good man who just wants to do what he loves, and that's bake.
Mm,
He doesn't want to run the business. He doesn't want to mess with the finances. He doesn't want to deal with all that stuff, that we do as CEOs.
yeah.
And so it's actually been a very complimentary relationship, I've found.
Mm,
We get along great. Like I said, I view him more as a partner. I love as the brand professional in me loves getting all those origin stories out of him, like why we do what we
mm,
do. How are things in the early days? Like, because there's always good learning in those stories, right?
sure. Right.
And it's a good way for me to make sure I closely protect the DNA of this brand as we grow it and evolve it, so we don't lose that magic along the way. And so I kind of view David as our conscience. He's the guy that I could
Mm,
check things off with and go, does this feel right to you? I know we're kind of running 100 miles an hour down this road, but please gut check,
yeah.
and so he really is the guy that kind of, I feel like I'm holding the mirror up to myself sometimes when I'm talking to him, just to make sure I'm
Mm,
staying very in tune with what created the magic to begin with, so we don't lose that. And so
yeah.
it's been a great relationship, and that's really drawn on my sort of philosophy of coming in, not seeing a CEO role as a boss, but more that facilitator role. And it's really, I
Yeah.
think it's paid off, and it's been a good fit for this particular brand given their unique structure.
I think that's beautiful that that can happen, a relationship that you have with David. And we have a lot of founders as well that listen to this show. Um, what, and there's that pull and tug, I think, of when do I release this? I just wanted to bake, or whatever our
Yeah.
listeners are saying. What would you say from your experience with this? Does a founder maybe know, hey, it's time that I bring in someone like Todd?
I think there's a few triggers, right? One is
Hmm.
obviously revenue, and can you afford a professional
Sure.
CEO? You got to get to that place,
That
right?
would be important.
And so that's probably step one.
Can't pay you with food.
Yeah, and then I would say, more informally or more nuanced. I also talked to, because I've consulted with other companies before, especially when I was between gigs. And some of the things I tell founders, or try to advise them or just give them things to think about, I tell them, hey, once you're at a point where you no longer can see every employee and what they're doing, you're now at
Mm,
a big enough size where you need a professional restaurant management person to come in and set processes and discipline and accountability, because now you don't have eyes on everything. It is easy to run a business when you can see everybody and see everything going
Mm.
on, right? But the second you got shifts that you're not at, while you're home sleeping,
Wow.
things of that nature, and your brand is in the hands of maybe an 18-year-old kid who's running the counter that day, those things can keep you up at night if you don't have great practices and those things are well trained in.
Hmm.
That's what a CEO comes in, or COO comes in to do for you.
Hmm.
Um, and that's the stuff that a lot of entrepreneurs just don't have. They were never given that type of education,
Hmm.
right, in business. That I love working with founders because we've always been very complimentary of each other. It's like I'm always in awe of them because I could never see myself creating something from nothing. That just scares the
Mm.
hell out of me. And I don't even like have that magic idea that I could just commit my life to and bank on it,
Yeah.
you know? Like
Yes.
that takes a different type of wiring. And
Yes.
I'm in awe of it. I think it's incredible. And so if I can come in and forward their amazing vision and wrap it in process and
Mm.
policy and practices, you know, that's where I feel like I can compliment them by protecting their baby as we grow it. And so that's where it ends up being a good, because I'm not trying to do what they
Hmm.
do, and they're not trying to
Right.
do what I do. And it's like,
Yeah. You
how
have
do
to
we
be
do?
both in awe of each other because
Yes.
you different skill sets and knowing, like you said, the partnership
Yep.
is beautiful and it's not competition or takeover.
No, no. And it's like, let me help you take this thing to the next level. This is what
Mm.
I do for a living. And
Yeah.
forward this beautiful thing that you do for a living, and make sure we take care of it and fought, and
Hmm.
really protect it as we grow it. And because that's the hardest part. There's so many brands
Yeah.
that we all are familiar with that they found themselves on a slow road to nowhere because of accelerated growth. And they ended up
Mm-hmm.
forgetting who they were and what made them magic. And so to me, I have to be very cognizant of that as we put the things in place to allow this thing to flourish and grow and go to the next level.
Yeah. What is the magic? You've said that a few times. What is the magic of Easy Tiger?
I always start with culture. I mean, to me,
Mm.
it's like, and I told the team in my first all staff meeting with them, where, I basically said, I was on the team 2 weeks, I was getting my feet under me, and I said, I need to get in front of these people. Because again, just like we were talking about, I don't get to see everyone every day, right? These people are
Mm.
working late at nights, early in the mornings. The bakery's 24/7 with shift work. So I'm like, I got to figure out how to get in front of everyone so they can get to know me. I can get to know them. We can start setting
Hmm.
expectations. Um, so I called at each restaurant, I called an all staff meeting on different days where they came in early, and we decided to open late. We didn't open until like 11 for lunch. So we were closed for breakfast that day, and brought the whole team in, and we just had like a little town hall. And I had a breakfast buffet prepared for them so they could come in, grab breakfast, sit down, and we could just have coffee together and talk. And they could get to know
Mm.
me, my philosophy, my style, my expectations for the brand, what I see as opportunity. Because to me, the biggest thing, the magic is, how do we do this and take everybody on the journey with us? And I
Mm.
just said, I told them, I said, if you're ever sitting around scratching your head wondering, why the hell are we doing this? Then I said, you need to come talk to me, because I assure you I
Mm.
have an answer. I don't do anything by accident. Everything has intention behind it and thought behind it.
Hmm.
So I will give you a solid answer, I assure you,
Wow.
of why we're doing something. And if they can all walk in knowing the why behind what they are each doing to contribute to this big thing, that's to me where we win. And that's how this thing
Yeah.
gets sped up, because everyone's now, they
Hmm.
get it, they understand what we're doing, they know what their role in it is. And then now we just take off. And that to me is where the magic always lies. How
Hmm.
fast can that, or slow, does that exercise occur, where I feel like
Hmm.
we've got everybody singing off the same song sheet, and now this thing is humming. And that to me
Yeah.
is where the magic comes from.
You can also tell them that there's some hungry Austinites that need their food. So
Absolutely.
if
I mean,
they're,
that's what it's about, right? I mean, that's what I
yeah,
tell people. I'm like, hey, we're in the hospitality business. So we're not going to be the
yes,
cool hipster place where you have like attitude and don't smile at somebody. And, you
we're
can
gonna be super sad.
you can leave all that at home. I expect smiles and welcome in,
Yes.
and we're here to take care of you. And And, that was a little bit of a pivot for some folks when I came in.
Mm,
And I just said, if this isn't for you, I'll help you pivot to something else that's going to make you happy.
mm,
To me, it doesn't have to be this sort of confrontational thing. It's like
right.
I set a very clear vision and go, this is where we're going. This is how we're getting there. And this is how we're going to behave on a daily
Yeah.
basis. And if it's, hopefully you're on board with this and you'll give it a shot, and I'll prove it to you over time that I'm not sitting here BSing you.
Yeah.
And it'll all kind of play out. And if you're up for that and that excites you, let's go. And if it doesn't,
Hmm.
you're feel free to go do something else.
Mm,
No one's a bad guy here. It's all about fit in my mind. How
yeah.
do we find a group of people, create a tribe of people that fit what we're trying
Mm,
to do here? And that's
yeah.
what
And
that's
I think that takes courage as a leader to say that. Like, it's okay if you're not with me.
absolutely. I tell them, I say, I know a lot of people in this town. I've been in this industry a long time. I will help you get a different job. I'm here to help.
Yeah.
No one's a bad
Wow.
guy here. And that's how we do it.
Mm.
So
So
normally
as
in
a
those
CEO,
situations, people will self-select out, right? I don't have to be the bad
yeah.
guy and be like, you got to go. I paint a very clear picture and then they decide if that's something they want to sign up for or not. Then it's their choice.
Yes. And it's better all around, obviously, for the company
Absolutely.
and for them. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, go find your happiness.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's plenty of places where you don't have to smile.
exactly. That's exactly right.
Yes.
I even say it. I can put you in the back of house. If you don't want to be in the front of house, that's fine too. We'll figure this out.
Right. Figured out.
Yeah.
Well, as CEO and of a brand that is very well known in this area, where do you see Easy Tiger in the next 3 to 5 years?
Great question. And it's funny, I've been on the job 6 months. And so this might sound crazy, but the answer is I don't know. And the reason I say that is, I always give myself and tell the people I'm coming in and working for, I need a full year. I need to
Mm,
experience a full year's business cycle.
that's so
Because we
good.
all we all
Yeah.
know there's seasonality trends that play into the business. There's slow times, busy times, and the dynamics of the business have to shift and change to maneuver with that. And so I basically tell myself and others, I will never claim to know this business till I've been here at least a year because I haven't seen
Mm,
it all yet. I don't know what Christmas is going to be like at Easy Tiger. Haven't been here for that yet. So
yeah.
it would just be ignorant of me to claim otherwise.
Mm,
So yeah, and to think I have all the answers when I haven't even
yeah.
experienced the full business year. So right now I'm just going through and seeing what these two restaurant beer gardens are capable of, where they need refinement. And every week I learn something new where it's like, oh, we could do that better. We could refine that. Ooh, we should probably kill that. And,
Mm,
and so we're just narrowing it. It's a narrowing exercise over several
hmm.
months. I'm not looking to come in and shock the world and freak everybody out. In fact, that first all staff meeting I had, so one of the things I like to do as a new CEO is I ask the entire team that work this thing every day, I say, I'm here to facilitate your success. Talk about the facilitator
Mm,
role again. And to prove it to them, I always ask, I know you guys all know the answer. So please tell me, what's the first thing that I need to kill that you guys just hate walking into every day? And for them, it was pretty funny. They all had the same answer. And this always happens. And it's always something small and easy to fix in my mind. It's not a big picture thing. It's something in their daily life. And so for
yeah.
them, they were like, that frozen margarita machine, we don't sell any margaritas frozen. They always are on the rocks. It's loud, it hums. We got to break it down and clean it every night. It's a pain in the butt. And I said, great, I'm going to have them pick it up tomorrow. It's gone. We're done selling frozen margaritas. What else you got? And we had this, and I just kept peeling away barriers for them.
Yeah.
And
I
that,
love it. They're like, you're the best.
yeah, I mean, that's to me how you tell them, like, I'm
Yeah.
on your side. If I
Yeah.
can get you back to the culture piece of I need you happy and high performing. And if stuff like that is standing in the way of success, oh
Right.
my God, I can fix that yesterday. Like, let's go. That's like
Yes.
nothing. So they were all like, they didn't trust it at first. They're like, is this guy serious? And the next morning, our tequila distributor came and picked up the machines for us and we returned them. And I was like, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So we went through a series of those moments too, and that's how, to me, how you build trust with your team, where
Hmm.
you can immediately walk the talk,
That's great.
and not just say, give me 6 months. We're going to be here and this is what the world's going to look like. And they're all going, yeah, sure.
Mm,
We've seen that before. So to
hmm
me, it's like, where do you notch those easy wins and start getting everyone in the boat with you? And that's really what I strive for out of the gate. And then it's about sustaining that by just proving it to them every day. Like I'm still the same guy making same decisions. And that to me is when things are humming. I love now that I can walk in these restaurants and now I know all of them. They all know me, and it's like,
mm,
hey, Todd, and nobody's scared or intimidated, or because they now understand what I mean by being a facilitator. I've
hmm
kind of demonstrated it over time. It's like I said, I'm only the CEO for everybody out there. In here, I'm just a
mm,
coworker, and we're trying to do great things together. And my job is just to paint a clear picture for you guys so we can get
yeah.
it done. And that's it.
I love that. I love that so much. I think that's such a good life lesson outside of even business, that we're all on the same team. There's different roles,
Yeah.
and those different roles mean different decisions. And now you're selling probably more margaritas on the rocks.
Absolutely.
Easy.
And they're delicious.
And they're delicious.
And it's way
It's
better than
Austin
the
anyway.
frozen.
That's way better. So for those of you that are listening to this that aren't living here and maybe have been under a rock, maybe I realized we didn't even share what Easy Tiger was, because I know what it is. I buy it. So share what it is and the concept and
Yeah.
all the good things.
Absolutely. So really the heart and soul of the brand is the bakery. We have an artisanal bakery behind our North Austin location that is working 24/7. And we are banging out amazing pastries and our sourdough line is really what we're most famous for. In fact,
Mhm.
we're the only approved bread to be sold in HEB bakeries that doesn't have an HEB brand on it.
That's huge.
We have a great partnership with them. We're in over 32 HEBs around Central Texas, selling our bread every day. We deliver it to them every day overnight with our own fleet of vans and delivery drivers. We're also in Whole Foods in Central Texas. We deliver our breads to high-end hotels, five-star restaurants that want to put good bread on the table, but don't want to mess with the pain of making it.
Mm,
And then we also deliver our pastries out to several smaller chain customers like coffee shop concepts around Austin, like
mhm,
Joe's Coffee and Summer Moon. So we have a very vibrant wholesale business in addition to the two restaurants that we have. And so that bakery is also supplying our two bake shops that are inside of each restaurant. So if
mm,
you walk into an Easy Tiger, it's an amazing thing to see, as I mentioned earlier. I mean, there's a lot of dynamics to it. You're walking into a giant beer garden, beautiful patios, dining room. A lot of them have, both of them have upstairs or upper decks as well to hang out on. And full service restaurant, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, full bar. We actually have it. To me, what makes it so unique is the shorthand I use is it's amazing. It's the only place I've seen where you have baristas working next to bartenders. I just have never seen that before. I mean,
it should be like that every day,
you can get everything you want. So
from coffee to beer. I
yeah.
mean, what's in between? I don't know.
And our slogan, which is very counterintuitive for the restaurant industry, which I love, our slogan is slow down, stay a while. And that's why it's
Mm,
easy tiger. Just come in, take it easy, tiger. And that's the whole vibe we're trying to create. So we have people that come and just hang out and work on their laptops all day, every day with us. We're
mm,
good with that. We got plenty of room for people to spread out, do their thing. We have small companies having their small company meetings there because they can't afford meeting space. And we're not there to run anybody off. We
yeah.
mean it when we say slow down and stay a while. So have
hmm
coffee, get your day going, stay for lunch, stay for happy hour, whatever floats your boat. Um, and then on top of that, these are pretty significant entertainment venues as well. So we feature live
mm.
music, we do trivia nights. I'm actually for the second time next week, I'm personally hosting an adult spelling bee, which is really funny. Once people have a few cocktails, I get to have a lot of fun with people.
Imagine, yes.
So
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Do you have
yeah,
that in there?
so I never thought I'd be a CEO who's running a restaurant, running bakery, running booking bands, hosting spelling bees. Like it's a pretty fun job, I gotta say.
I was about to say.
And it's very hands-on because we are pretty small, with only two locations and a bakery. We're small but mighty and have a big impact
Mhm,
from a bakery standpoint, obviously, around the city.
mhm,
So that is really the essence of Easy Tiger is
mhm.
Just everything is, we're really driven by the word craft. We're famous
Mm.
for, we have over 30 local craft beers from around Texas and beyond on our taps. You can't come to us and have a Budweiser, Miller Lite, Coors. We are strictly craft beer, and it rotates daily. So there's always something new to try. We have a lot of sort of beer aficionados that love to come in and taste, the most recent stuff that we've just tapped the keg on. So that's a fun part of the business. So a lot of craft beer to go with our craft bakery.
Mm.
And that's really how the thing got born, because obviously there's a big overlap when you think about yeast and bread and
Mm.
beer.
Yeah.
That's where the idea started, and that's how this thing happened. And so that's really at the heart of what we do. And then the restaurant and the entertainment and all that just sort of grew around that core of who we are. And that's what makes up Easy Tiger. And I think, and then the last sort of dimension to it is, because we've got these big venues with these full service restaurants and bars, we're a great place for like catering and special events. We do a
Mm.
vibrant catering and event business, because we can, if you want to take the upper deck at South and do your party or your birthday, or we do bar
Hmm.
mitzvahs, we've hosted weddings. I mean, we've done it all.
Wow.
Because the spaces can flex and expand the way they need to accommodate any type of event. So we do
Mm.
company meetings. I think we've really done like one of everything at least. And it's amazing how creative we can get with people that want to use the space, because they are very unique.
Well, I just want to encourage everybody to go to Easy Tiger and to ask for Todd.
Yeah, I'll
Go
probably
have a
be there.
beer.
I,
He'll
I mean,
probably
I'm
be there.
usually, I bounce between the two locations. I don't have an office
Yeah,
really. My office is inside those two restaurants and that bakery
that's
every
so
day.
good.
So I usually
I
just
love it.
ping back and forth and check in on everybody and make sure we're taking care of people.
Well, I'm going to come look you up for sure. I want to
Please
bring the kids. Like you
come
said,
on
it's a
by.
family. They can
Yeah,
play while the parents have a drink. I love that. Okay, we're going to
absolutely.
do some fun rapid fire questions real quick. You ready?
All right, let's go.
All right. What would you say is the key to success for you?
Communication.
Mm.
I really pride myself on just being incredibly transparent with everyone. We're not doing anything top secret here. I dare anyone to try to rip us off and copy what we're doing, because it's hard. So, not worried about that. So to me, the more I can inform everybody from the front line all the way up to the investors, keep everybody, on the same page and knowing exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it, that to me is always the key to success.
Mm. Good. All right. What's your one piece of advice you would give to other business leaders or execs?
Uh, Humble yourself and
Mm.
always remain a student of the business.
Mm.
There's always
I
room
love
to
that.
learn from other people. I always am asking our front line, like, how is this going? How is this new menu item working? What are people saying? They're the ones living it every day. I don't have that knowledge or insight. So I
Hmm.
lean heavily on them. And when they feel like they're a part of the CEO's decision making,
Hmm.
boy, that just takes them to a different level.
Yeah.
And so staying super connected to everybody. We, like many companies, we use Microsoft Teams, and we've got
Mm.
everybody in the business on Teams in different groups where we can chat about anything that's going on in the moment, an emergency, or hey, I have this big idea I want to run by you.
Yeah.
And all of that's encouraged. And so to me, that's really critical.
That's really good. All right. Book or podcast? What are you listening to or reading right now?
Uh, I don't have a lot of time to read right now since I'm 6 months in.
I don't know why.
I know. I'm hoping to get back to that shortly.
That's a three to
I
five year
will.
goal that we were talking about.
Okay, so this is a revealing thing about me. The book I am slowly reading right now, I'm a big music fan. And so one of
Mhm.
my favorite sort of genres to read is biographies or autobiographies on bands and music, and kind of
Oh, fun.
what's their creative process and how because I mean, they're no different than entrepreneurs, right? A band is
Oh, for
creating
sure.
something out of nothing, and it's a part of who they are. And I love that whole notion of getting inside the head of somebody that creative and going, God, how do you do this? And then how do you monetize it, commercialize it, while maintaining kind of
Yeah.
your art, right? And so I'm
Yeah.
a big music fan. I love live music. Austin's obviously the perfect place to be for that.
I was gonna say.
And so right now I'm reading sort of an anthology about the band REM.
Oh,
I'm a
good
big
pick.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of REM. I went to University of Georgia back in the late 80s, early 90s when they were just coming out of Athens
Yeah.
and the music scene there was kind of blowing up.
Hmm.
B-52s, REM. And so
Yes.
I got a chance to meet those guys before they became big. And when we were all like
Really.
20-year-olds running around campus in
Yeah.
Athens. And so I've always had sort of a fondness for them and their music. And so it's interesting now, they're all retired, obviously. Look back on their whole career and decisions they made and how the creative process would work or not work.
Mm.
So yeah, that's what I'm reading right now.
That sounds like a really great book.
It's cool. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I get a lot on that question. I hear similarities, which I'm like, when I hear similarities, I'm like, must get that book. Never heard this. And this is the most interesting one I think I've heard. So it's
Yeah,
really
it wasn't
good.
a business book. Sorry to disappoint anyone.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's like behind the music when they had that back in the day, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it's
Uh,
amazing the parallels between business and,
mm,
art and music and those things because they all have a
yeah.
process, right? And so to me,
Yeah.
I do learn little things from stepping outside of
Yeah.
my own category and looking
Mm,
at something totally foreign to me, at least, and
yeah.
learning from it.
Yeah. I love that so much. All right. Last fun rapid fire question. If you had a little bit of magic dust, what is the one area you would sprinkle it, whether it's in Easy Tiger or how you lead?
If it's in Easy Tiger, wow. I would probably, my biggest challenge right now that I wish I could sprinkle magic dust on and accelerate big time, because I know I'm signing up for a long road here and what I'm about to say is we're just we're in this interesting space as a bakery, as a production bakery,
Mhm.
where we're too big to act like a small mom and pop artisanal bakery
Mm,
anymore. And too small to act like a big commercial bakery. We're sort of in this very
mm,
interesting middle ground where we got to move. And that's what I've been talking with David, our founder, about, and Michelle, who sort of runs the day-to-day of the bakery with him. We are meeting weekly right now to start carving out some of the things we've been talking about. How do you preserve and prioritize what the magic of this bakery and what it wants to be famous for? And what are sort of
mm,
the tier two items that maybe we can pull out of the way and get a co-packer and go co-produce that outside our four
yeah.
walls and still create a product that we'd be proud to slap the Easy Tiger name on. That's a very dangerous kind of game to play, right? And every
Hmm.
company faces that crossroads moment of we are no longer mom and pop. we got to figure out
Yeah.
how to scale this thing, but do it in a way where we preserve the magic of the brand. And so
Mm,
that's where David, our founder, is really going to come in handy. And I'm bringing in some outside, like food scientists, consultants to help me do this, where they take our recipes and we start to talk to co-packers, co-manufacturers around the state and see
mm,
which ones would be a great fit for us to best replicate our recipes in that scaled high volume format that
mm.
we're currently doing by hand. And so we're
Wow.
we're walking down this very delicate path. And I assured
Yeah.
David that we are going to be very careful with his products because I don't want to dumb it down and just start
Hmm.
to be like everybody else, right? So if I could sprinkle magic dust on anything, it would be get me to that finish line. Show me the light. Because
I
this is
love
going to
that.
be a long process to figure all this out and a very
Yeah,
nuanced process to figure it out.
for sure. It sounds like it. The fact that you just said everybody's still doing that by hand and you produce so much, that's shocking.
So I'll give you, this is a fun stat. We are doing right now, this week, we're in the process of beyond our everyday production, above and beyond, we are producing around 50,000 additional baked good products for the Formula One race that's here this weekend for COTA.
Additional.
Additional. And for UT Athletics with a big game this weekend, as well as some of our friends and other businesses that have a lot of things going on. This is a big weekend in Austin coming up. And the fact
Wow.
that these big groups turn to us because they want our products being served in the suites at COTA and that kind of thing. We're
Yeah.
super proud of that. And so we are I even had the whole home office staff is working as well. I had a bunch of my marketing person and my catering and events girl. They all were helping today on the line. I'm working 10 to 2 tomorrow to help
Mm.
scoop and make blueberry muffins with the team in the bakery. I'll be on the line in a hairnet working side by
I
side
love,
with them
you
because
have to post that.
yeah, because it's an all hands on deck moment, big time.
Yes.
And so we're like,
But
but
what an
we
honor.
I love the honor and I love that the team gets excited about rallying around this. It's a yes, we
Mhm.
can attitude, not a, oh my God, what are we trying to take on?
Yeah.
And so that those moments are really fun for the business.
Yeah.
So
That's fun. Well, it's a loved product for sure. So before we get to the last question, tell everybody how they can find Easy Tiger,
yeah.
follow, eat, all the things.
Absolutely. So we have a North Austin location at the Link Shopping Center off I-35 and 2222. And then our South location is off South Lamar, just north of 290. And those two locations both have those bake shops I talked about, and then our big bakeries up behind our north location. They can look us up, easytigerusa.com as our website, and you can do everything. You can see what we do offer in terms of catering and events. You can see the full menu, our bar, our rotating beer selection. It's all there to kind of give you a sense of who we are and what we're about. So yeah, I invite everyone to come on out and hang with us. It's a good time.
I love it. All right, final question of the day. What is most inspiring you today?
What's inspiring me?
Yep, what's inspiring
Uh,
you?
I think really, right now, I am probably most inspired by the folks running our bakery and their willingness and openness to trust me to take them down this path,
Yeah.
to really unleash the growth of that place. They've never broached this topic in the way that we are broaching it right now. And I would expect David to be very protective of his baby and that handcrafted approach. And so the fact that they are even trusting me and going on this journey with me to entertain some of these outside third party folks to help us,
Mm-hmm.
I take that very seriously. And that's what inspires me to make the right decisions for them. I don't want to do wrong by David and disappoint him. That's what I'm driven.
Sure.
That's what I'm driven by. So
Yeah.
that's what inspires me right now.
Wow. What sounds like you love your job,
I
and you
do.
not only love your job, but you love the product. And as you should, because we all love it. So I
Amen.
love that. This was an awesome conversation. I was looking forward to it, and you did not disappoint. So I really enjoyed hearing your journey from where you started at Whataburger to where you are now with Easy Tiger. It was so good. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. This was fun.
Yeah, well, I just want to encourage everyone that's watching to save this show and come back and watch it, because Todd really did have some great ideas and just shared some really wise nuggets. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get a notification every time a new show drops, just like this one. Thanks again to everyone who joined us today, and a special thanks to you, Todd. Really appreciate it.
Thank
Until
you,
next
Heather.
time, thank you. Bye.